Hello traders, it's Samurai Trader here. Welcome to this training session. I'm going to be covering a lot of information, mainly covering questions from members over the last 4 or 5 days. Most of you know I've been away. I'm back and a lot of emails, so the best way is for me to really cover these in a video. That way everyone can gain some benefit. So let's get straight underway. Understanding the risk. Please, as a reminder, read the risk disclaimer. You never trade with the rent money, and of course you never go live until you've mastered the trading setups on the simulator. Very, very important, and we're going to be talking a little more about that today, because I need to give some of you a little bit of a slap around. Some of you have been going live too early, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But if you haven't already gone to full screen, bottom right hand corner, please go to full screen. Just make it a little easier for you to see the charts. Now let me just get to this slide here. So this is where I want to start with. Now many of you have seen me run through this before and talk about this slide, and let me just read it out again. People become quite remarkable when they start thinking that they can do things. When they believe in themselves, they have the first secret of success. And how we do that, traders, is by going back to the simulator. If you've been trading live and not consistently making money, go back to sim, draw a line in the sand and restart. You've got the rest of your life to learn how to do this. The more often you go and lose money on your live account, the more likely you are is to just really destroy your trading self-esteem. You lose trust in yourself, etc., etc. You can regain that trust by making the right decisions and following the rules. And Mark Douglas used to spoken a great deal about this, the psychological damage that traders do to themselves. So new traders, please, as I say, 100 trades on the simulator, where you follow the rules consistently before you go live and be consistently profitable. Let's get this right. Okay, very, very important, traders. Now I can give you, and I give you and teach you the battle-tested proven trading strategies, all that you need to achieve master day trader status. But what I can't give you is screen time, focus, discipline and patience. And traders, you probably saw me talk about using the simulator for a pilot last week in a video I did, and I think that's a great example where they'll do at least 80 hours in the simulator before they go out into a real aircraft. Before they've got the right to turn left when they go onto a plane, or turn right, they've got to be in the simulator for at least 80 hours. Traders, don't rush your career, because you're going to crush your career if you do that. And I'm still seeing and dealing with traders that really have got some real issues because they're really trying to fast track themselves through excitement. It's great to be excited, but this is a career. If I put you in with one of my prop trading firms, or if you went to work for a bank as a trader, do you think they'd tolerate you taking risk trades? Are they going to let you loose trading real money until you've mastered 1 or 2 setups where you can see you consistently making money? Of course not. You've got to assume that you're going to work for a major firm, even if you're starting out with a small account, $1,000 in trading, a mini account with FOREX. Treat it as if it's $1 million. You've got to start from that. And you've all heard me talk about this before. The disciplined trader, Mark Douglas, talks about this, is that you've got to have, as he says, to become an expert, choose one simple trading system that identifies a pattern, preferably one that is mechanical instead of mathematical. So you'll be working with a visual representation. As you know, patterns repeat themselves in the market day in, day out. The market has a memory. So discover what pattern suits you, which setup suits you the best, and we're going to quickly talk about those in a moment, because really my goal as your trading coach is to fast track you. I was talking to a trader today in the Caribbean, and this is for my Forex traders, and we're just talking about range charts versus time-based charts. Now for my MT4 traders, as a reminder, you can buy or may even be able to find a free app which allows you to run range charts on your MT4. They're a lot smoother, and what we're looking at there is the euro dollar 5 range. Okay, so it's just a beautiful chart to trade. If you for those that are experienced in our setups, that you can see there's at least half a dozen trade entries, all profitable there on the chart in front of us, and this is from this morning. So traders, if you're trading FX, really consider going to range. I love the rule of 2 on Forex. It's an incredibly profitable strategy, the rule of 2. Now, another question that continually comes up is, when's the best time to take a T1? Now remember, with virtually any trend following strategy, what we want to do is really see 3 out of our 4 EMAs confirm a trade. If we've got 4, brilliant. Now with a T1, consider a maximum of 3 to 4 in a trend, very much like the 34Bs. Okay, 3 in a trend. Now with the T25, because you're taking shallower pullbacks, go for 5 to 6 in a trend, because remember, you're only got a 2 to 5 candle pullback, so you can take a lot more. Now I know it gets frustrating, and there will be days where you'll see 6 or 7 34Bs all come off at once in a strong trending market. Well, traders, that's trading. Okay, that's just the way it is. So that is going to happen. Now why I think of it for my NinjaTrader traders, I'm paying a coder. Thanks very much to one of our members has put me on to a coder to code the super scalp of a T1 exactly the same as my super scalper on TradeStation. Hopefully it'll be ready within a matter of days. Now please don't email me yet about it, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it out to 2 or 3 of our NinjaTrader 7 users. Just get them to make sure it's working fine, and then on my Google Drive I will upload the NinjaTrader Super Scalper, where you'll be able to then go and download it. Otherwise I'm going to get so many of you will be sending dozens of emails. So look, this time next week, if we allowed a week, almost certainly it's going to be up and running. So once again, on my Google Drive, you'll notice now I date every document. So whenever I do an upload now, I date it. So just look at the dates, and of course, like today's date, the PDF that I upload for a link to this recording will be dated the 20th of the 4th. So just look at that, and so when you're going on, you're not searching every time, so that'll just keep it in order. And once again, when the new website's going to be up, it's going to be even easier. And don't even ask me about my program, it's a nightmare. But anyway, we are getting there. All right, so you really want your EMAs to be confirming the trend. Now in reference to the great work that was done, thank you, by Ricardo. Now I've had a couple of emails in reference to some really good points I want to quickly cover. Now I was talking to an outstanding potential moderator today, someone that's worked for me in the past, and we were just talking about the trading room. So what we're looking at doing, and this is not 100% set in concrete, and I'm open to any emails from you on this. So we're looking at trading the CL, or black gold oil, the NQ133 and the ES1000, and with probably a maximum of 3 setups. Otherwise, for our moderator trader, it's going to be near impossible to keep calling the trades. Our objective in the room, of course, is to not only give you an outstanding education, but to give you and help you become extremely profitable, a minimum of $200 to $400 per contract per day. So from 3 markets. I know some of you love CL, some love the NQ, some love the ES. So we've also got to make sure that we can call those trades without causing confusion, which also brings up an excellent couple of points that Samir brought up. Thank you, Samir. Sent me some really good information. Is that we want to keep everything consistent. That is, I've spoken to you about the hull EMA, I've spoken to you about the 0 lag, and of course the 8, etc. On our charts, we're going to be, and I won't announce what the indicators will be yet, but it's almost, we're going to have the 8 EMA, we're going to have our standard EMAs, we're going to have as less or as little clutter as possible on the charts, because as most of you know, I'm very price driven now. For the least indicators on the charts, the better. And our role, our job, and what my goal is to teach you how to trade with that, or with just minimal amount on your clutter on the charts. It's really important we get there. Now also I'm going to be uploading some of the great work that was put together by Ricardo on some of the back testing. Okay, now for an example, on the 6-tick stop on the ES, going for 6 ticks, 79% profitable overall over a sample size of 105 trades. And you'll see this I'm going to be uploading this probably tomorrow on my Google Drive. Once again, a whole lot of great work is done. Targeting 5 ticks with a 6-tick stop, 87% were profitable, and what is really interesting here is 5-tick target, 5-tick stop, lowest drawdown, 85% profitable. This is one of those core trades that we will be calling in the room, because you may remember that when it comes down to the CL, the NQ, FOREX, the ES, the 34B kicks butt. Okay, it's just a great solid trade. All right, along with the T1, the T2, T25. Now we are going to mainly be focused in the room on trend trading, okay, because we want to be consistent. You know that I love the T89s, etc., but we're only going to be able to call so many setups on so many markets in the room. We're all in it to make money. That's what we're there for. All right, so more on that. We're starting to drill down on some of these finer details. So I'm very open-minded to any of you, if you'd like to email and just let me know what trade setup you'd like called in the room as one of our baseline setups. Now some of you are trading the T2 every day and kicking butt with it, others are doing the T1. So we're going to be taking the core trend following strategies. So if anyone's got any suggestions, I'm open to hear what you have to say, but it's going to be very rules based. We don't want to be swapping and changing one strategy. We want to stay consistent, which is very, very important. Now remember, the secret to your success as a trader is trading rules-based trading strategies. All right, so we're going to be very, very clear on that. Now let's go and have a look at some of the questions that have come up. Now I'm going to start with this one here. I'm just quickly looking, and okay, so I know this is perhaps going to be a little hard for you to see here. All right, okay, so this is about a T10.8. When's a reasonable point to take target? One thing, traders, look, nothing's ever really, when it comes to trading, our rules can be fairly set in concrete. Where's our variances going to be? Well, of course, red flag news announcements and where our EMAs are. Now we know that quite often we get our 89B is a very reliable trade, but we quite often get a bounce off the 200. So I will vary my targets. If I've got an 89 and a 200 straight under my trade or very close, that's going to almost certainly be very, very strong support resistance. You want to be really aware of that. Okay, so is this a qualify as a bounce? I see a green bar coming down on the 89 and momentum to the upside, but the long-term stochastic is down. Well, that there we can see here is a T10. Okay, so we can see our long-term stoch heading down. We've come up, it's a T10. Now what I'm going to show you in a moment is if we refer and look at the T20, and this is one of the points here from one of the questions I had here, is that I don't talk about, let's see what I've here, I haven't been talking a lot about the T10s recently. Well, the T10 is a very visual setup, so is the T20, and the reason I'm mainly talking about the T20s nowadays is because of the amount of emails I was getting about the T10, where the T20 is very clear-cut visually, where there's more discretion on the T10. So the T20 is very, very clear-cut, okay, compared to the T10. So that's why I'm not talking so much about the T10, and we'll look at the chart and in a moment. So as far as targets go, most of you are aware that I'll usually have a fixed target as a scalper. the first trade in a new trend after a T20, you can have a wider target, but just be prepared for retracements and pullbacks. Once you pop through on a T20, time and time again you'll get a pullback, which we call the T21, the first trade after a T20. That can be extremely profitable if you want to ride that out. But as a scalper, I like to be in and out. For an example, to achieve our $200 a day per contract, 3 6-tick trades on the ES after brokerage, and you're there. Now you may notice here that on the 34B that Ricardo prepared, that the 5-tick was the most profitable. And I've had a number of traders ask me, why do I only go for 5 or 6 ticks and sometimes only 4 on the ES? Because it's like a wave. It moves in waves and you get lots of pullbacks, and you know, it can really for me, it does my head in when I'm in the money, say 5 ticks, and I get a pullback of 4 ticks. You know, you start to panic. It just, for me, I just like to scalp. That's my trading style. But if you want a high profit target, wait for your T20s. That's going to then give you one. Okay, now would you take do we take each of the 89Bs on this chart? No reason not to, with the exception of this. See this area up here? So we can see very clear cut, we've got our bounces here. Be very cautious after 2 89Bs in a row. Right, if we keep coming down and testing support, or if in a case resistance, there's a very good chance, and your probabilities drop considerably. So after 3, you want to be really cautious, and actually, without even seeing your chart over here, notice how we've got a lower high here. So here this is would be really, and without seeing where this goes any further, yes, extreme caution, particularly when you can see here, what have we formed up here? A double top, a T7. So we can see here we've gone up, and that's really a triple top, isn't it? We can see it there. Remember, a double top or triple top, you know, a double top to me is if you're within 1 or 2 ticks. So we can see here we basically got a triple top. I'd be very cautious thereafter. Likewise, traders, with your T20s, your very first cross through of your T20, if it's close to an 89 bounce, quite often your T20 will fail and you'll bounce up. Just be really, your first one, you'll see this time and time again. Now, as you know, you can take every T20 on the ES 1000 during the main market hours and you'll make money virtually every day, even if you take every single one. But when you look back at the losses, nearly always it's because they've bounced off the 89. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, now another thing to be aware of too, when you see your long-term stochastic in this, we can see here in this middle window, and it's traveling along here, this can really start to ring alarm bells for me. Likewise, I want to look at if my MAs are heading horizontal, wait for a new breakout. So you just want to really really watch that. So after 289s, be very cautious, maybe even stand aside, because that's where you're going to get your high percentage of failures. Now, does this qualify as a bounce here? Well, I'm assuming here that this is our 34. Yes, it is. Sorry, a green bar. Okay, so yes, the thing here is how many bounces have we had? Now we can see here the long-term stochastic is starting to rise, but we see that a lot, traders. You'll see it pop above the oversold or overbought position. You'll come down and bounce. Remember, we don't want to take, I recommend anyway, you don't take any more than 3 in a trend. Okay, because what you're doing, you're getting the 34B, generally speaking, is a deep pullback. The more often you pull back, the more chances, generally speaking, unless you're in a really strong trending market, like we have been, by the way, which I'm about to show you on the Globex market today on the 233. We've had a really strong trending market, and I think there's 5 or 6 34Bs all worked. But statistically, once you get above 3, you know your chances of a failure are going to really increase dramatically. So yes, that qualifies. Remember, I want to see it close under the 8. So I say that's either a hull or the zero leg you've got on your charts there. You'll notice now all I have is the 8 34, 89 and 200, and that's really all you need. Okay, so if we look at yes, this qualifies, but how many are we into it there? Now remember, one of the things you want to also watch is this. See here, we basically got a higher low. Okay, it's higher. Now you want to really keep an eye on those, particularly if I get a T1 plot. So it's, if we've got a rule of two, we've got 2 full candles. If I've got an uptick above there, I'm going to be super cautious, because yes, if it's the first one in a trend, fine, but if we've had 3 or 4 of these, you want to be more cautious, particularly when we can see it's almost a T10 formation is setting up there. Okay, here T7. Okay, now with a T7 traders, as a reminder, is a double top or a double bottom. When do we take the position? Well, number one, we can see here we're within 1 or 2 ticks, that's fine, but we want to close under the 8 EMA. And here I won't even refer to the stochastics most of the time, or to the MACD. What I'm looking for very clearly is a nice double top, and let me show you on the charts here. Let's go and have a look at this here. Okay, so what I've done here, traders, this is I think this was yesterday's price action on the Globex market. I've just marked these up I just had these up for myself yesterday. Most of you know what I do at the end of each day for research purposes. I'll record just quickly, and it takes only 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes to record the entire session. So I'll quite often go back and mark these up just so I can do trade counts later on for my own use. Now when with the live room, by the way, we're going to be keeping daily statistics, so it's going to be a lot more accurate. We'll be able to do quite accurate stats. And once again, Ricardo's done a great job on the statistics and back testing. And just one thing on that, where we see 85-89% win-loss ratios, all right, take off 5% for missed trades, fast-moving markets, whatever. There's still incredible statistics, and that's just on the 34Bs. Go and start adding in your T25s and your T1s, etc. Remember, you only need, as an example, 4 5-tick trades a day net, and you've netted over 200 per contract. On the Google Drive, have a look at what that means is increasing your contracts. After you've got another 5,000 in it, you become extremely wealthy. Get rich slowly. Anyway, so here we've got very clear T89. Once again, a T89 is where you're entering outside your channel, but what you want to do is wait for your close over the 8. If you do that, it's just a nice little insurance policy. So up here, this is what I wanted to show you. You've got a very clear, you had a T89 here, and the reason this was a T89, you can't see it here, but this actually plotted over here, and you're outside the channel. But then we had a double top form, which formed our T7, and you can see here a lot of traders thought that they pushed the market down. There's your entry down here. So you want to close under your 8, and there of course we had a T20. Now down here you've also got very clearly, even though this is too smooth, if you apply stochastic, you apply the standard settings, you'll see you've got a crossover there as well. And we can even let me just actually get rid of that for a moment. Just sorry traders, I'm just going to where is it here? Okay, just want to pull this down for you. Was it always a hassle when you want to? Okay, let's just get this out the way. So getting back to here, keeping your charts clean, you don't even need, once again, most of these indicators here, unless you're using this for divergence, but you can see it visually. You know about the angulation. Look at the angulation of the 8 EMA compared to the others. Look at the angulation. See that bubble formation? Where you see that, traders, you know you're going to get a snapback. It's going to come down at least to hit your 34. Here you've got your 89, and this is what I mean about having 4 out of 4 EMAs. You've got your 8. Remember, you close above the 8. The 8's above the 34. 34's above your 89. 89's above your 200. Look at that support in that area. We've come off a T89, and here's where your target would be. And you'll see this how I target this time and time again, because this is very, very strong support and resistance in these sorts of areas. Here is a T7. Let's just scroll along, and you'll see these all the time. Now, this is what I call another hairy area. Why is this a hairy area? Okay, you've had your T20. Quite often we'll get a bounce, but where you get a T20 after a T89, a big sell-off, they're more successful. That is, where you see these T20s, like you had one down here, these are more likely to punch through your strong support or resistance areas. So just take a note of that. After a really good divergence trade, you're more likely to punch through. T20 was also a T10. So here's another T7. Now on your double tops here, you can see here that popped up 1 point above here. This is a hairy area because, as you know, we quite often bounce off a 200. Your 200 Bs are nowhere near as accurate as your 89s, just like your 34s are more accurate than your 89 Bs. So here, when you get these double tops, you've gone up, you've punched up, you've come down, you've closed under the 89, under the 8. Now many of you of course don't have the white paint bars. That's fine. Just look for a close under the 8. So you've gone up, you've come down, you've closed under the 8. There is your entry. Okay, down here this was a T89, and you've got a bubble. Look at this angulation. See the 89 moving away here. You close above the 8. There is your entry. It comes back down, it forms a T7. There is our entry. So hopefully that then makes sense. Now T25s, of course, here you've got a 34B, here you've got a T25, you've got multiple sort of entries here. Let's go and have a look at what's happened today. Now this is what I mean about strong trending markets. So your 34Bs, you can go within 2 ticks of your 34. Okay, and you can see here that would have been a 34B, 34B, 34, 34. But what have we got there? 1, 2. You got 3. Well, that's a T7 with the trend. See that double top with the trend. 4. So you can see here you've got 34Bs firing off left, right, and center. 5. That's an 89 and a 34. It's punched through the pivot. See the support. Now, one of the questions I have about pivots, I have questions about pivots regularly. Traders, virtually every trading platform I've seen or pivot package is different. Even though when you look at the rules of pivots, open, high, lows and closes, etc., they all seem to vary, and they can vary subject to whether your pivot is adjusted to your local trading time or exchange time. Forex is even more complicated because of being a 24-hour market. You've got the London session, New York, etc. So sometimes you need to play around. Now my pivots, I use an external third-party pivots, and they work on exchange times. Okay, so I can either have this at my local time here in Australia or exchange times. What's amazing, they still work fairly well even on local time. So just play around with the pivots that you have. Now pivot trading, you've heard me talk about this, it's not an exact science, but when you're trading with the trend, for an example, and it comes up and retraces to your pivot, that can be a really good, just a great trade. So I do look at the pivots. Likewise with the work that Ricardo did, you'll see in the rules that pivot bounces, we're very, very cautious at pivots, very, very cautious. And we can see here we've come down, we've continued down. So this is one of these days where if you followed the trading rules of only following 3 34Bs, you'd be kicking yourself. But of course you can be smashed as well if you don't follow those rules. Here of course you got T20. Finally we punched through. Okay, you got a 34B, you got another 34B. This one you still would have been in anyway, because if you're going for 5 to 6 ticks, you get an entry, close above your 34. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're still in it up till here. Now you've got a T20. You've got a T20. Here is your T21. See, you've come through, you've bounced a little off your 89, come up. Now you've got your basically a 34B, it's a T25. You've got multiple entry signals right here. But what I wanted to point out was this here, the question I have about the T10s. Notice up here that it can be a little confusing here because you've got virtually a T10 signal here. You've got a falling long-term stoke, and what do you do here, but yet you're still really high? This is where the T20 just makes it a little cleaner. Okay, so where you've got your crossover there, you've got another T20 here. Now this T20 coincided with this T10, you can see that there. But what happened, we come up, we've bounced around, and this is what I mean about this resistance area. We've bounced around. Your stop would have been down under here, 2 ticks, so you would have been kept in that trade, but you know, you might have broken out in a little bit of a sweat here. You bounced around, and finally you've broken up and New York, sorry, not New York, the London session. So it's now 6:24 p.m. It's 3 a.m. in New York over here, and of course London has been open for a good hour or so now, so it's really flying along. Now, another comment here from a member last week was, with the NQ 133 around this time, how smooth the 133, or sorry, didn't say 133, how smooth the NQ can be this time of day. We're starting to get a little bit of volume coming through, so your 50, you can still trade your 55 tick up to your 89, but there's still some great trading opportunities. Now, what would you do here, traders? Well, ideally, you know, you want to see at least 3 of your EMAs confirm the trade. Okay, your 34 is above the 89, finally the 8 is above the 34, you've got a confirmation of 3. This is an area where you can be really chopped around. You've also got a lot of pivot support, but remember the rule of 3 MAs confirming the trend. But this can be tricky, traders. When most of you know, and those that I've coached one-to-one, done the private sessions with, know that if I have 2 losing trades in a trend or in an area, I will set it out and I'll wait for a new trend. Right, because this is where sometimes if ever I get chopped up, it's usually in an area like this. So I'm very cautious now when we come up against the 200. So just be very aware here when you've got your EMAs horizontal. This is where you just want to be very careful. Now this let me just quickly go back to where are we here, back to this. So traders, I've covered a lot of information. I've mentioned the T7s, and by the way, the T7s, your double tops with the trend, absolutely love them. So if you're looking for a great trend trade, of course T7s can be a counter trend. I love them with the trend. The NinjaTrader Super Scalper, give me a week. I've emailed, I'm just waiting for payment instructions now to pay for it. So all members, I'll be giving that to you, the indicator to you, free of charge. And so that should then complete a complete suite of NinjaTrader indicators. I think now we've also got a complete suite of the Think or Swim. And so we're collecting as we're going along, of course, and all of these we include in the program. The live room will be doing the ES, CL, and NQ. Then our next step then with a separate moderator will be the Forex, will be the currency markets. We're not going to be able to squeeze them all with the one mod. Look, our moderator's in it to make money. I'm in the room to make money. We're all there to make money, so we've got to be realistic. So if you've got any preferences, if you're kicking butt with a certain setup, please let us know and we'll just consider that. Most of you know I'll trade 5 or 6 strategies, but it's going to be too many for the live room. Okay, particularly if we want to get a spread of markets, so we're going to have to get that honed down. Okay, traders, I'm probably this has gone way over, longer than I wanted to go, but I wanted to give you a lot of information here. So traders, I'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much.